Good morning, good afternoon, and evening, baseball fans. Welcome back to the Barstool Baseball Show. It is Monday. This is the Power Ranking Panel Show. It is Carl, and I am joined by, as I always say, a collection of experts, Chris Castellani, Chris Clemmer, and our co-editor-in-chief, Hubs, just fucking slugging it through an awful Yankee season. Clemmer, you and I, we all got to hang out, but I just want to point this off the top. I told Clemmer in Boston, I go, I don't really like being at this House of Blues place. Makes me nervous. I'm afraid of being trapped in a club fire. I'm deathly afraid of club fires. This place is wildly upholstered. And Clemmer just laughed in my face. He was like, you're a pussy. You're afraid you're going to burn to death, you pussy. Welcome back to the show, guys. Clemmer, fuck you.
You also left out the fact that I imitated your face burning off. I was like, that made me laugh.
I was like, it was a weird situation because it was the end of the night. He was giving me some history on the House of Blues. He was like, did you know this is actually the House of Rules? It was built in 1886.
No, I did not do that. I know, I did not. I was just saying that people in Boston call it the House of Rules because they're really strict, while bouncers are screaming at us to get off the floor. Like, you need to leave now. It's like, all right, we're on our way out. It's going to be okay.
We reserve the space, lady. Give us a fucking minute to catch up.
It's all going to be okay.
It was cool to get together. We hung out. This is our first show since we did that. And Hubs, I want to point something out. I thoroughly enjoyed the fact that you, me, and the Rocket got together. Jared was in the building, of course, so there's no spoiler here. This is his original podcast feed for 6-7 years ago. So I want to shout out Jared. It was cool to see him. That was really cool.
Yeah, it was like the only picture I actually took was with me, you, and him because I just never remember to take pictures. But we snagged one. It was nice. It was a nice moment being with him, being with you, the whole boys, the whole crew. It was a really good award show. There was a lot of nervous energy, I feel like, leading up to it. But all in all,
yeah,
everybody thought they were getting fired.
Yeah,
everybody showed up on most people. 9 out of 10 employees on Wednesday were anticipating their job on the line going into that, I think.
To be fair, I wake up every day and just think.
I was about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. There's never a moment where I don't feel comfortable, but that was it. There was some nervous conversations going into that, but like the moment Dave got to the mic and started everything off, it was a nice day. So it was. We're still here. We're still doing the show. Let's get into it.
Yeah. Thank you. I was going to say this show is the first show after the Power Ranking panel. Since Dave did that show, it's a blessing to do the show, guys. I'm very thankful. I love doing the show with you guys. That's how I feel right now coming into it.
It's the best. Get to talk baseball. It's better than that.
Yep.
This is the Power Ranking show, 1 through 4, then 2 through 8. Then we come up with I said that wrong, 5 through 8. The batting order today is Clemmer, Hubs, myself, and Castellani. We'll repeat that. We'll come up with the best 1 through 9. It starts with Chris Clemmer. No collar today, but loads of insight. Let's hear it, big fella.
Yeah, I mean, this is easy. Braves, not really much of a question. The only question, I guess, is this isn't really a Braves thing, but Carl, me and you did the kind of like an award. We talked about just like kind of award preview, if you will. Like just went over some people who we thought could win MVP and Cy Young, and since we had this show, maybe we didn't spend enough time talking Mookie Betts versus Ronald Acuna. Like Mookie Betts is doing kind of a run here. I know this is more Dodger related, but I mean, we talked Braves to death. And I don't know. I think this could be an interesting 2-horse race as we kind of run down. Because, I mean, obviously the Braves and Dodgers have nothing really to play for. Castellano looks shocked.
Joey Gallo just committed the dumbest base running error I've ever seen.
Really?
I looked down for 2 seconds and missed that. God damn it. What happened?
You'll see it, Hubs.
So
the Rangers game is happening.
This is not live radio, by the way. So please.
Sorry.
Stall all reactions in real time,
or just explain them.
Yeah.
So like I said, Acuna versus Mookie Betts could be an interesting MVP race kind of down the line here. So something to keep an eye on. But yeah, Braves and Dodgers obviously nothing to play for. Really, I mean they completely locked up their spots.
Yeah.
I mean the Braves are incredible. I don't know really what else we can say about it. Max Fried still has an ERA under 3 through 10 starts. I mean, he was really the only question mark I had for them. I mean, I look at this roster, I look at this team, best ERA in the National League, best batting average, on base, slugging percentage, OPS, all in the National League, obviously. So they're the best. I don't know. Braves are awesome.
Yeah,
we're getting kind of What are the insights? What are the takes? So I talked to Big T, and I asked him, as a diehard, this year, if you don't win the World Series, is it a failure? And he said, yeah, it's got to be. It's just World Series or bust this year. Now, it's been that way for a while, but even if they make it to the World Series and you lose, devastating. This team, right? Well, hey, there's some good fucking teams out there, Hubs. You're saying,
I understand. Like, no, they are. And I'm not saying it's a shoo-in that they're going to win, but when you're this good, there's nothing to settle for besides winning the World Series. Like, there's no, hey, it was a good run. Like, no, when you're this good all year, you put up the offensive numbers they have all year, and you have Acuna doing what he's doing, you have to win the world. Like,
well, you're a Yankees fan too, so.
But that just has to be the standard for that level of team. Dodgers, Braves, Astros. Like, I know Astros aren't playing that well, but like that's the standard those teams hold themselves to. Like, it's not just a Yankees thing. Yeah, the Yankees feel like that every year because that's what our spoiled fan base, including myself, holds them to. But like really, really good teams like the Braves and Dodgers, like you can't settle for anything besides that. One thing I want to add on the Braves, Spencer Strider had an interesting month. He had one horrible start against the Pirates. Everything besides that was genuinely unbelievable. He gives up 6 runs in less than 3 innings to the Pirates, so throw that one out. Then he goes 6 2/3, 1 run against the Angels with 9 strikeouts, 7 shutout against the Mets, 7 shutout against the Giants, and then 7 innings, 1 run, 9 Ks against the Giants again. So he was damn near perfect outside of one blemish. He's kind of the guy that I worry about with them. I just don't I don't know if I can rely on him too much. His numbers obviously are great. He strikes out 1 billion people, but it's like, he tends to stumble a little bit in the postseason. But he looks all the parts really good. Max Fried has been really good since he's been back as well. So they really have a nice 1-2 punch here going.
World Series or bust. It's World Series or bust.
Has to be.
Yeah, anytime you have a team that's on pace to 100 games, it's a world. You don't get that many opportunities. I mean, I don't care who you are. I mean, look at the Yankees. Like, the Yankees have won 1 World Series in the last 20 years, and they've had really good records until this season. Like, that's not even a slam on the Yankees. It's just like. It just shows you how hard it is to do that when you have these opportunities, when you have this team is so stacked. Like, yeah, absolutely. If you're a Braves fan, you're a Dodgers fan, you don't not only make it, if you don't win the World Series, it's a loss.
Yeah, I guess I was real quick, sorry, and I was talking to Big T too, and I just asked him, because it's such a complete team. The one issue that he kind of brought up that could be the Achilles heel is that, like, with Strider coming into form and Fried doing what he's doing, that rotation's great, offense historically good. It's one of those weird bullpens where the numbers are really good, but how many of these guys are trustworthy, high leverage, big playoff inning guys? Now we'll see. I mean, but if there is, and it's a minor complaint, if there is one thing that I could see a team getting to when you get to October, it's maybe the back end of their pen. Other than that, the only difference or the only thing to watch for the rest of the regular season is just how historically good can they be. Everything else they've already got wrapped up.
But winning a World Series is, to Clemmer's point, the 20-year gap with the Yankees and all the great teams and money they spend, it is impossible. It's very difficult. I really can't respect the Red Sox enough for when they're hot. They've won the 3 titles in the last 15 years, 4 titles in the last 15 years, 04, 07, 13, 18. When they're hot and they have momentum and they got in the playoffs, it just seems like every time the Red Sox have that special team, they win with it.
But even they, though, Terry Francona in his book, I think he said the 2008 team was the best team that they ever had under his reign, and they didn't even make it to the World Series. Yeah. So obviously it's really hard. And look at the Dodgers last year, 111 wins. The Phillies go to the World Series. So, like, you never know. But honestly, if you have a team like the Braves or Dodgers that are that good, this powerful, in a National League that is pretty top-heavy, you're looking at the World Series.
Hubs, you're up second.
That's me. Dodgers remain at 2 for us. I, for whatever reason, thought we had the Orioles 2 last week, and I was like, the Dodgers have hopped them. Nope, Dodgers have been at 2. Mookie Betts, man, and Clemmer, you touched on it. He absolutely his first series back at Fenway since the trade. He was unbelievable. He's at 35 homers, 93 RBIs, 315 average. His OPS is over 1,000 now. He's so good that he is threatening a guy who's going to become the first 30-60 guy in MLB history for the MVP. like that. You have to take that into account. And then right behind him is Freddie Freeman, who is on pace, I believe, to break the doubles record, or since like it's insane. He's gonna, I think, break the Dodgers double record very soon. That 1-2 punch is ridiculous. I watched the game today. I watched the game yesterday. Like those guys just back to back. Freddie Freeman, the way he goes to left center, plays so perfect at Fenway. Like he is just made to hit in that park. And it's a hitter's park in general. But watching those two go at it, it's truly like generational to see those guys hit behind each other, and just table setters. It puts such a strain on a pitcher. Just like if they turn the lineup over, like you just got to deal with those motherfuckers. They are terrifying. I think the new question comes up here a little bit. And I don't know how much the Braves care about this, but we've got 5 weeks rest of the regular season. The Braves have only 5-game lead in the loss column over the Dodgers for the best record in the NL. So that could be something where, the Dodgers keep this going and they've won 17 of 19. Like that could be a situation where the Braves somehow aren't even hosting that NLCS series if it comes to it. So that could also help the Braves kind of, we kind of talk about how many important games are the Braves playing here and, keep themselves honest. And they do play them every day. Like that's their calling card. I don't know if they care about this too much. Like if I were a fan, I would care much. Like, with last year, Yankees, Astros, like I wanted the Yankees to have the one. They didn't. But it is important. I don't know if they value it too much there because the Braves are just like, we'll hit wherever we play. But for 5 weeks to go, 5-game lead, that can evaporate. So that's something to look at. But overall, I think it's these 1-2, Dodgers and Braves. Orioles slightly behind, but like there's a pretty good, I think, right now separation between 1-2 and then 3.
I agree. I want to go back to Mookie real quick, just because it's almost as if maybe we've gotten it wrong, because it seemed like for years before Ohtani arrived and became what he became, it was, best player of a generation. It's Mike Trout than everybody else. He's number one of the bullet. With the way those careers are going, and Trout having the chronic back problem, and Mookie Betts at 30 years old showing no signs of slowing down, like it wouldn't shock me if by the end of their careers we look at Mookie in a higher regard than we talk about Mike Trout, especially if he wins another MVP this season. I mean, the power numbers are up. We know he can swipe bags. He's still an elite outfielder. Just an amazing, amazing player. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, that offense has slugged their way to success. Pitching is stabilized a little bit. I still have a ton of concerns about their rotation, which is not an issue I've had with them in previous years. But it's become a very fun team to watch. I mean, such a deep lineup, and I think that's kind of the running theme throughout all of these top teams here. 1 through 9, there's no easy outs, and it obviously helps that you have 2 first ballot Hall of Famers in the middle of your order.
Let's talk doubles record. Freddie Freeman is 48. He will not break the record. It's held by Earl Webb, who did it with the Red Sox the very first year that Tom Yawkey bought the team in 1933. One of the cooler, weirder record holders ever. Earl Webb has 67 doubles in 1931, which is 2 years before Yawkey bought the team. Excuse me. The cool thing about Webb, though, is he never had over 30 doubles in another season. So he had 67 doubles this one year, and then never had 31 in a season.
I was more talking. I wasn't talking the all-time double. It's since integration that he's going to get it. Most doubles since integration. He's on pace to.
Yeah, will he? Has anyone had 60 or more since?
I know. Didn't Castellanos have 58 a few years back when the Cubs traded?
I feel like he had a crazy double year that year.
Yeah.
I know it's something to. I mean, look, Hubbs is right though. Freeman is in rare air. I mean, I have 48 before the end of August. He only had 47 last year and led the league. He already has 48, and we're still 5 weeks to play. So right, you hit 60 doubles. That's a special season. I just love the Earl. Any excuse I have to talk about Earl Webb, I always try to bring it up because it's such a weird. Like, why does he lead the all? He's the single season leader in doubles. What the fuck is Earl Webb?
Yeah,
I like Earl Webb. That's a good call out. Now, Mookie Betts player comp. Can you talk about Roberto Clemente compared to Mookie Betts, Clemmer?
Yeah, there's not really a lot of comparison in my eyes. Clemente was a swing first guy who got better as he got older. His first few seasons in the majors, Clemente, I don't say struggled, but wasn't the Clemente that we know. He kind of like leveled up as he got older. He worked harder and got better. Betts is incredible. I don't know who I honestly like. start talking comparisons of Betts, talking like Hank Aaron. We're talking like Willie Mays.
I like Hank Aaron a lot. I like Hank Aaron a lot because of my understanding of his game and the way he approached it and the consistency. Mookie Betts isn't a home run hitter who puts up big home run totals. He's not getting in the batter's box trying to drive the ball out of the ballpark. He's a very simple approach to playing baseball. Hank Aaron was just showing up trying to hit the ball as hard as he could. And
both guys did everything
in his career.
Both guys did everything at an exceptional level. Like, there was no flaw in their game. The only thing, like, don't get me wrong, I don't think Mookie Betts is going to have the same totals as Hank Aaron did, because Hank Aaron did it until he was like 41. Like, his numbers are insane. Like, as he was just as good as he was at 37 as he was at 23. That's hard to do. I don't think Mookie Betts, I don't think it's like, Hank Aaron's almost like a superhuman. Like, so is Willie Mays. But that's what I'm talking about. I think when it's all said and done, I'll say this, and I think Roberto Clemente is a first ballot Hall of Famer, 3,000 hits, incredible career. When it's all said and done, Mookie Betts is going to have a better career than Roberto Clemente. That's how highly I think of Mookie Betts.
It's hard for me to argue. The thing about Mookie, man, is I get the impression Mookie could have played any other sport and been an all-star. Like, we know about him as like a great bowler, but like, dude could have played, been a slot receiver in the NFL if he wanted. Like, they put the guy at shortstop this year, and he's like above average fielder. Like, go ahead. At the age of 30, why don't you just play middle infield for us? Just an amazing player, dude. I mean, yeah, incredible.
And we beat it a dead horse, but like the fact that they traded Mookie Betts is just
like, I was waiting for it.
You know what? It's like, honestly, he's not even 31 yet. Like, he's still 30. Like, it's crazy to trade that caliber of a player when they traded him, when it's so perfectly. And like, I think we talked about this last week or 2 weeks ago. It was all a Henry move. Henry did not want to pay him. Henry didn't want to pay a guy that, if you probably paid him, and you did pay. Listen, we've seen a contract. They did pay. It's a bargain. It's a bargain. It's a complete bargain what he gets paid year after year. Like, and they just said, nah. It's crazy.
It's awful what John Henry did there. That is despicable. I want to read this. This is what Sean McDonough said. Sean McDonough called Red Sox games for a long time with Jerry Remy in the 90s, does some stuff on radio. He said today, it's a trade that can never be defended and a stain that will never be erased. I completely agree. The fact that the Red Sox, a major market team, traded away a generational talent is going to haunt this team. Imagine, like I always say, imagine if the Red Sox had Mookie Betts and instead the Dodgers still had Wong and still had Verdugo. No. The Red Sox would be in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Is any of that because, or emphasized more because he signed the extension with the Dodgers? If he played and got traded to the Dodgers and then hit free agency and went to another team, do you think people would look differently at that trade? Like, the fact that he goes to LA and now he's just going to be a Dodger for the rest of his life, I think kind of adds to it.
Sure, but the Dodgers made that trade committing to pay for him. Just like the Red Sox made that deal not committing to pay him. And I know some Red Sox fans would be like, well, they also, the Dodgers ate Price's salary. Okay, why didn't the Red Sox? The Red Sox have money. John Henry has a shitload of money. He owns 9,000 teams. He owns the shitty Boston Globe. He has money. I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know. It is maybe the most like mind-boggling, befuddling move I've seen a major market team make that I can think of in the last 20 years. It's like a player move. I still don't understand it.
I mean, John Henry's a cheap fuck. There, I understand that.
But he didn't used to be. None of it makes any sense. I think he lost interest in the team. I get it. They got 4 rings. I get it. Maybe he just found a new hobby, whatever. If that's the case. You need to sell that team. People do love this team and care about it. When you're an owner, it doesn't. You have to have some care for the people that root for that team. You are a caretaker. When you die, that team will live on. And you need to, if you don't care anymore, I understand everyone has different interests. That's completely fine. Then you need to sell the team, excuse me.
I'm with you.
Watchdog, Chris Clemmer.
Yeah.
Owners. Mookie Betts, generational player. The Dodgers are obviously very fucking good. 1 and 2, slam dunk. 3 this week starts to get a little funky because of the injury to Bautista, but I'm still putting the Orioles 3 Like, he's so much. I know, dude. He said, but here's the reason why. And just hear me out on this. Hear me out on this. Hear me out on this. We have repeatedly dogged the Orioles to say at some point it's going to fall off. More adversity at this point, to me, benefits this team. Take this guy out, fine. Like, that, just slide guys up. Brandon Hyde's already got it all figured out. Who's going to pitch here, there, whatever. He's having the conversations. I know it's a massive blow, but in putting them through here, what I want to do is I want to give credit to the Orioles that, like, they every time I think, and I have my own doubts. The other option I have at 3 is the Rays, but they just lose Wander Franco. Hey, they're hot, pal. There's only fucking 4 teams in baseball with 80 wins. I don't want to. What are you going to say? The Seattle Mariners? Yeah. Is that what you want to do? You want to come in here and put the Seattle Mariners?
Well, first off, I want to say this. There's no way more adversity makes a team better. They just lost their clothes. That makes them worse. There's no world we live in where that makes them better. Dude,
the Rays have been hot since they lost their best player, and you and I talked about that. You and I literally sat here and we fucking talked about how it can bring people together.
Fucking young girls, like, as far as we know. So it's a different situation. Okay. Like, those are apples and oranges. Those are not comparable. I'll say it. I mean, like, that's what we're not going to dance around. That's what he's being investigated.
I'm saying this because the Orioles. I want to give credit to the fact that the Orioles, they fucking win regardless, dude. You can go fucking pitch for them and you'd be good.
I have the Rays at 8, so I have the Mariners at 3. So the Orioles, I guess I can understand on some level. The Rays, that's insane talk to me. Right, the Mariners have the best ERA in the American League. So this is more than just a streak. They're that good.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be so ahead of ourselves putting the Mariners 3 right here.
I don't care about being ahead or behind. I'm just stating the facts.
They just haven't done enough to be 3. They're not 3. The Mariners aren't fucking 3. Are the Mariners 3, Castellani?
I'm with you. I would have the Orioles here. Look, ultimately, and it's an amazing run, and by the end of the year, it could be different. But the Orioles are 8 games better, I believe, in the win column than the Seattle Mariners. And look, the Batista note is, I mean, you have to bring it up. It's a huge, huge deal. The guy's been close to a Cy Young caliber pitcher this year, but I struggle with this stuff sometimes because I don't know how much that affects them in the 162. It greatly impacts them when we get to October. That bullpen is already pretty darn deep. I do take full resume into account. So I would have the Orioles 3 here. I think that we have in the past maybe like tried to jump the shark and it's backfired with certain teams, putting them higher than they should be. Now, in some instances it's worked, but here, I can't put a team that isn't alone in first place right now as the number 3 best team in all of baseball.
Here's the problem with the Bautista thing. And I know Yanier Cano is having a nice year, a great year. He's also a 29-year-old rookie who's never had any real major league success at all before this year. Now he's your closer. That's a big thing. That's a big deal. And I think it does affect them over the 162 because they're only 2 games ahead of the Rays. So if Carl's point is true that minus Wander Franco, they are better, then the Orioles have someone nipping at their heels now. So one of those things has to be true. Now, the Mariners are in a tougher race. It's got a 3-horse race there. If you guys want to go Orioles 3, I'm not going to fight it too much. I think I'll be proven right potentially down the line. I think the Orioles have a better record.
I didn't know. I thought I would get laughed if I said Mariners. If you're introducing Mariners 3, I want to entertain it, and I like what you're saying. And I want these rankings to be sincere and true, as if they played and squared off. Do you have that much belief in the Mariners?
I do. I do. I mean, look,
great.
The 1-2 is, Braves, Dodgers, Braves, however you want to order it. That is a whole separate universe. Now we're in the next universe here. And we do have a few different teams that could vie for the spot. You got Astros, Rangers, obviously, and you got the Orioles, and you got the Mariners, in my opinion. I don't have the Rays there at all. I have the Rays in that next tier.
Okay.
But but if you guys are saying the Orioles have a division lead, they have a winning percentage over 600, we need to respect that, I understand. I don't necessarily agree, but I'm not going to fight you too much on it.
Just every time I've doubted the Orioles, they've come back and they've just punched me in the face this year. Every single time I've thought, okay.
We've never had a situation with the Orioles where they've lost a major player, though. Cedric Mullins lost some time, I know that. But other than that, this is the first time we've lost. They've had announcer gate. They had John Angelos being a moron. There's been shit going on. Camden Yard stuff.
I mean, how many fucking games do you think it's worth if he's not there?
I don't know. He's so good.
It certainly feels like the one guy on the team they could not afford to go down. Like, if you take out anyone in the lineup, as good as they are, Adley, Gunnar.
Adley would be a bigger loss.
But, like, the rest of the lineup is so talented that they can overcome. I don't know if the pen can do that, especially with Cano's inexperience. And, like, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Fujinami, who's been solid. But, like, you know, these guys are in a whole different world right now if he's done. I still had him at 3, though. I agree with Carl. They're the third best team in baseball. Mariners are on fire. We had them at 6 last week. I feel like a jump to the 4 or 5 range makes perfect sense. And if they keep this going, then we have a conversation next week or whatever. But right now, it feels like the Orioles are still at 3.
Are you guys concerned about Jack Flaherty at all? Weird comments last week, how he's like, oh, I didn't bounce back right. But he wouldn't say he was hurt. And then he's been terrible for that. I just don't. The Jack Flaherty stuff's weird. He doesn't sound like his head's in the right place right now.
Yeah. Well, my concern has nothing to do with – my concern is that I just don't think he's that good. It's not like I think that there's some sort of like mental block. I wasn't crazy about the trade. I'm not surprised to see that he's struggling right now. I know he had one really good start to start things off, but there was nothing about that move that moved the needle. And also, while I still have him at 3, I know you can't predict injuries, but God damn it, this is why they should have gotten an actual starting pitcher at the fucking deadline instead of relying on what they had. You get Flaherty, and what happens is you lose the one piece you can't afford to lose. Now, if this was a rotation like the Braves or the Mariners, who traded their closer at the deadline, you could look back and be like, hey, at least they got a few guys who could be showstoppers for you by the time you get to October. They don't have that, but when I do these rankings, I don't necessarily base it on what might happen a week, 2 weeks from now, because baseball's so unpredictable. I do take the entire resume into account, and that's why I still have Orioles 3 right now.
Orioles 3, suck it, Clemmer.
A week from now, he could be wrong, or he could be proven right. I'm sorry. And okay, so now we get to 4, and this is again. This is mine, and it's tough because, yes, I think that there's probably some teams behind this one that would beat them in a playoff series if they played right now. Though, honestly, when we talk about playoff stuff, I mean, Phillies won 86 games last year and shit pumped the Braves and who had won 100. Like, there is an unpredictability that comes with that. I feel like I've given this team a lot of shit, and understandably so, but with all the injuries and all the shortstops who may be criminals, the Tampa Bay Rays keep fucking winning. Like, that's the one thing we kind of can't ignore about this ball club right now. They've lost a million pitchers. Your best position player is an idiot, allegedly. And yet the fact that they are only 2 games back in this division is a miracle to me. They are, them and the Dodgers, I would say, arguably the best 162 team in the entire sport. Bullpen's still deep. Lineup's still good. They continue to take care of business. And, even we talked about that amazing start they got off of. I get it, but this is still going to be a 90-plus win ball club this year that despite all the things that have happened, Kevin Cash has kept that clubhouse together. I have them at 4. I think there's going to be disagreements here, but right now I have them in that 4.
What do you mean they think there's going to be disagreements here? Clemmer just sat here and said they were 8th. In his opinion. And so, you think there's going to be a disagreement? The second you take a breath, pal, Clemmer's coming down your fucking throat.
Well, I just took a breath, so have at it.
All right. So, you say they haven't stopped winning. Well, they have. They're 23-24 since July 1st. So they have stopped winning. Their roster is not particularly good right now, and it's not their fault entirely. The pitching just didn't hold up. They got hurt. That pitching staff is not particularly good. You have Eflin and Glasnow, who both look fantastic. Mm-hmm. After that, you have Aaron Savali, who I think I like probably more than anybody else in this room. I do like the guy a lot. After that, it gets really rough, really fast, and I don't really know how you fix that. I guess the good news for them in the postseason is, maybe you can get by with those guys, but they're using these weird bullpen games. I give Kevin Cash a lot of credit. He's trying to make it work. But, I mean, the idea that they are somehow – honestly, I have the Phillies ahead of them. The Phillies are a more talented roster than the Rays. And I think the Phillies – I would be much more scared of my favorite team playing the Phillies than I would be them playing the Rays.
Who do you have it for?
I have the Orioles at 4. I have the Mariners at 3.
I just don't think the Rays are the 8th team. Like, that's just too low.
Is it
crazy?
I think it's too. I think
it's crazy.
They're two back of first place. You moron.
Oh, or the Orioles are. The Rangers and Astros are right there.
I don't know. What matters.
Isn't that crazy?
Know.
Like
I don't know. They've got 80 wins. They've got 7 more wins than the next team behind them. But how much does that matter at this point in the season? When you say they're 23 and 24 since July 1st. I almost not fall out of the chair, but that sets me down. That really puts me in my place when I think about the Rays. 23 and 24 since July 1st is fucking tragic.
Yeah, they're not that good. I mean, I don't know what else. I mean, and now, yes, I know the Wander Franco stuff. Obviously, him being with underage girls is despicable and weird and awful, criminal. But you do still lose a 5-war player. Like, if we're just talking baseball only, maybe getting rid of that toxicity in the clubhouse is a good thing. I don't know. I'm more concerned with the pitching injuries, but when you put it all together in a sandwich, that's a team that's been 500 for 2 months now, and they're not even in first place. So and you guys are saying like, oh, it's crazy. The teams I have in front of them are good. The Astros are a good team. The Rangers are a good team. Maybe you think I'm crazy having the Phillies ahead of them, but who would you rather your team face?
I don't know, man. Texas is on the verge of losing 9 of their 9th game in 10 right now. Like, they're not playing good baseball. The Astros kind of can't get going right now. They're just like stuck in neutral. Like no one's like setting the world. Obviously the Mariners, like we talked about that, but I don't. In the AL, like it's all just like whatever right now for the most part. As like shitty as that is to say, like the Rays have won 6 of 7. I know you want to take like the 47 game sample size, but they have been playing better of late. Mm-hmm. I thought they showed up this weekend against the Yankees.
Who suck, who are awful, who have no offense, who are a perfect team for a team with some pitching questions to go against. That's the ideal.
Right, but the Astros just played the Tigers and the Mariners are playing the Royals. Like bad teams will play good teams a lot. Now, one of the issues I have is I just don't know which AL West team to put ahead of the Rays. And we could put all of them, but like what order do you want to put that in? Because there's a potential that by the end of today, they're all tied for first. I've seen inconsistencies from all of these teams. Hubs brought it up. The Rangers are, potentially going to lose 9 out of 10. If not, whatever. They've lost 8 out of 10. That's still not very good. I think there's a little more consistency, but goddamn, it's tough. Your argument is very sound regarding kind of the anti-Rays stance. I think that I've been very tough on them, like throughout the season, and have been waiting for a deeper fall off than what they've had. And I just don't think they're going to have it. I think they're going to be that 95 win team that gets a wild card spot, and is a tough.
That's the 4th best team in baseball.
Yeah, because this is a great question of what matters for the purpose of saying this team is better than that team. Like over 162, or to Clemmer's point, I would much rather play the Rays than the Phillies. But are the Phillies deserving to say the 4th best team in baseball?
Right now, yes. No, not 4th best. I think I have them as the 7th best, team in baseball. I have them ahead of the Rays. I do not have them 4th. I have them 7th.
So who would you put? Oh, listen to this though. Who would you put at this spot? Because obviously we went with the Orioles. Who would you put at this spot? Clemmer, I'll start with you. Seattle. Hubs.
Tampa.
Carl.
Rays.
All right, let's go Rays 4 then. Jesus. All right.
Well, he's okay.
Wild. This isn't even a question to me. I mean, the Orioles one I get on a lot of levels. I disagree with it, but I understand. This is bizarro world. But
what's their record since Wander Franco has been suspended?
I know they're 14-8. I think this month, something like that.
That's trending up.
It is.
Fuck, this is hard.
Yeah,
I can't get over the fact
what's the Mariners' record over the same stretch, though? What are you guys doing?
For sure, but that's what they weren't anywhere. They weren't worth a damn in the first half to even be considered. Like, you can't just throw out what the Rays did in the first half. Just because
I don't. Well, I mean, I don't, and I do. I mean, I do to some extent because it's the top 9 teams in baseball, and right now, I would be much more fearful, like I keep saying, of playing the Mariners, who have won, I feel like, every game for 3 weeks, than I would be against the Rays, who are a team that I don't even like their roster that much.
Dude, I never liked their roster, and they just fucking win. It's just they figure it out. I haven't liked their roster since the start of their franchise, and they just win 90 games. It's blasphemy. It makes no sense.
I mean, I don't know. They had a great pitching staff for a while. They had Rasmussen.
I'm talking about roster, like lineup. I'm talking about lineup.
Oh, yeah, I'm talking about their roster, and it's just not particularly right. They get every Cash is amazing. The analytics team is fantastic. I just think that they don't have the pieces to win in October. I don't think they have the pieces to be that great right now. And if you took the whole year as a snapshot, they're not even in first place. So I don't even know what we're doing here.
What AL West team would you put ahead of them? Mariners?
That's the team I have. But if you guys want to go with Rays, go for it.
I would rather see Mariners at 4, Rays at 5.
I won't.
But you're not going to put, but
fine.
Clemmer's not going to put he's not going to put the Rays at 5. He's going to come back and he's going to say Phillies. He's going to say fucking. There's no compromise here.
What if he can't? He just said he will.
Oh, he will?
No, I won't put the Rays at 5. But I'll put a team out there and then I'll just get outvoted, which is fine, I guess. I'm not gonna. Yeah, I'm not.
But I don't want to. This is 2-2 now because now I'm leaning towards Mariners because they have been just so utterly hot.
I'm fine. I just don't think the Rays are 8. Like that bothers me. Right. Like the Rays just aren't 8. I'm fine Mariners over Rays, but don't drop the Rays down to 8.
Well, I mean that's my take. You guys can do it. Just, I'll have the Rays where I have them. It doesn't mean that you guys can put them wherever you want.
Like I don't know. We had the Rays 7th last week, and then they go out and they lose 1 game this week, and we're moving down to 8. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
I don't care about the previous rank.
Sure, but
that's literally like what
Clemmer doesn't care about anything. You are an anarchist.
Yeah.
What do you fucking care about?
Who are the best teams?
There's got to be some sort of we look at last week and we go, oh, who went up, who went down?
I never look at the last week.
Well, you're just a fucking loser then.
How does it make me a loser?
You're a loser. You just make up things in your head. And you're like, oh, this is how we should do it. Like, there's got to be some sort of order in how we do this.
I've said over and over again how I do it. Now, I said you guys can easily disagree with me and go a different direction. That's fine. I think you guys would be morons, and I'll make fun of you, but that's fine.
I'll propose. Let me propose a compromise. Let me propose a compromise real quick. I'll be willing to put the Mariners at 4 because I'm with Hubs. I don't think that we should drop the Rays all the way down to 7th or 8th. I'd be willing to go Mariners at 4 if Clemmer, you put Rays 5.
I will not do that. But you guys can vote however you want to vote.
Yeah, well, I think as long as the Rays are moving up, I think right now in this conversation, because ultimately the question is, what do we value more? Is the total season or the current moment more? If we value the current moment more and putting these rankings together, the Mariners are ahead of the Rays. If we're looking and valuing the gross beauty of the season and the 162 and the struggle and the grind, and then it's the Rays.
I think there's also a third component too, Carl, is how would that team do in the playoffs? And I think the Mariners would be much more successful than the Rays in the playoffs. That's the other component I look at. But that's me.
I don't think that last component should not be a factor.
Okay. It's not for you. It is for me. And and I can be, that's fine.
I've officially changed my vote to Mariners 4.
Fine, let the Mariners be 4.
Yeah, I'll vibe with that.
Just has to move along.
Yeah, and I'll nominate this team, and you guys can put the Rays there if you want. But I think the Astros should be 5th.
No chance.
I'm not as held to this as I am the Mariners at 4. If that makes any sense.
You mean this isn't going to be a hostage negotiation?
Doesn't have to be.
The way that Houston didn't take control of that series against Boston this week was so underwhelming to me. They come out with the first 2, I'm like, all right, sure. Verlander pitches well in 2, and then they just absolutely get shit pumped in the third game of that series on Wednesday. In the final game of that series on Thursday. It was 17-1. No, that's not the 15 base. They still can absolutely get there, and I'd still probably go in my head pick them to come out of the AL, but that's not the 5th best team in baseball right now. No.
I'm frustrated how they haven't been able to take hold of anything all season. It's been frustrating. I can't imagine it must be very annoying being an Astros fan, knowing they're capable of so much more. But one reason I have them at 5, for me personally, is Framber Valdez looked a lot better this week. And if he's going to be the ace that we kind of expect him to be, he's been hit or miss lately, but I feel like he's trending up. This team becomes a lot more dangerous with him and Verlander 1-2. So that's why I have the Astros 5. But if you guys want to go with Rays here,
he pitched against the Tigers, man. Like that doesn't.
And they lost. They lost.
Well, that's not. He can't control that through 7 no-hit innings. But
my point was more Valdez. But
he pitched against the Tigers. Like that doesn't do anything for me. He's got a. And I'm confident that Framber. I said this last week. Framber will. I'm not worried about Framber Valdez. Like he will show up in October and pitch well. But like at start against the Tigers, does 0 for me being like, oh, he's figured it out.
That's fair.
The issue I have with them at 5, and look, we're the difference. There's somewhere between that 5 and 7 range. Like we're splitting hairs. Is that I know, Clemmer, you often say like pedigree is something you don't really care about. You just look at the best teams. But I think that with Houston, we have a tendency to give them the benefit of the doubt because of the pedigree. Like I think if every member of the Houston Astros was wearing a Texas Rangers uniform right now, I don't know if we'd be as forgiving of them. I mean, they had that game they lost to Detroit on Friday was a disaster. And you brought up the series against Boston. They've had a fair amount of those this year. It's why their run differential is very good. Games they should have controlled, where Dusty mismanaged the bullpen. You got a bad start from Valdez. Christian Javier has been a mess. Hunter Brown, while he was fine on Saturday, he's got an ERA of 4.5. Like I think, and look, I could easily see them turning it on in September. But that's not what the rankings are based off of. The rankings aren't based on speculations, based on what we've seen so far. So while I think that they absolutely belong on this list and definitely no lower than 7, I'm not quite ready to vibe with 5. Though again, a week from now,
you like the Rays. I mean, you like the Rays at 4. Of course, you like the Rays at 5 now. You have to like the Rays at 5 here.
Tampa also took a series against Houston late last month. Like they literally went head to head. Now it's a month apart. And, Wander was playing there, but I just don't think Houston is doing anything crazy for me right now. That's being like, yep, that's a 5th test team. Like, will they be there at the end of the day? Probably, but that's not what I factor into my rankings.
So, all right, I think the Astros are a better team than the Rays. But put it to the vote. If you guys want to go with Rays here, then let's do it.
No, I think the Rays. I don't think the Astros are better than the Rays.
Yeah, I agree. I also say this: Houston better be careful, because Toronto. I know they lost today, and it was such a classic Blue Jays game today. I feel like that, like they just can't fucking get going, or keep it going. But Toronto is there. Like they're only a game back in the loss column of Houston for the 3rd wild card.
Yeah, no, if you look at the musical chairs, the AL wild card. Yeah, someone's going to be on the outside looking in here, right?
Right, and if Houston's not careful, like this neutral that they have themselves in is going to fuck them. I know Toronto, listen, if you bank on Torontoing themselves, I'm sure they will. But they are still talented. Like we look at that roster. I don't have them in my 1 through 9 this week. But
I don't either.
I don't think that's crazy at all to say. There are 9 teams better than them. But especially with the loss today. But like, if Houston isn't careful, they might find themselves out of this. And that's crazy to say, but it's a reality.
So Houston is or is not 5th?
No,
I am voting for the Rays.
I have the Rays at 5.
Rays 5, yes.
So we
I
have
have
Rays,
the Astros, but I lose. That's
we
fine.
have Rays 5th. The Blue Jays aren't on this list.
Correct. Same with I did not have them either.
They're not playing good enough to be on this list, no.
Yeah.
Fuck them. I wish the Blue Jays could turn. We're not supposed to be talking about the Blue Jays right now, but I just wish.
It's okay. They're a baseball team. They can have a sentence.
No,
but like,
I know.
they just play well this week.
I wish that they were better. We went through and did a deep dive on the Blue Jays versus the Mariners on Friday. Castellani and I did, and we went through their entire roster, and their infield is remarkable. The talent is remarkable on that team. Like George Springer and Kevin Kiermaier sharing that outfield. Like, so it's an amazing roster. But you say it best. They just Blue Jays themselves.
Dude, they gave up 18 runs.
Every way they can lose.
They gave up 18 runs to the Guardians this weekend. That can't happen.
No. No, Hubbard and I talk about the show every week. They constantly underachieve. It's been the story of the Blue Jays the last few years, and this year might be the most obvious case of it. I mean, that roster, it should be winning 95 games without a problem, and they're going to struggle to make. They could miss the playoffs. They're probably going to miss the playoffs. It's crazy.
You know what's bizarre? is I think they've gotten worse each of the last 2 years. Like the team that missed the playoffs 2 years ago when Robbie Ray won the Cy Young and Vladdy finished second for the MVP, I think that team was more dangerous than last year's team was, and I think that last year's team was more dangerous than this year's team is. Like I don't know. I feel like with some of the trades they made, they kind of disassembled their core, and I feel like it's worked to their disadvantage. But they're not on this list. We're on to 6 now, right?
Yeah, we're on to 6. It's Hub's pick. It's Braves, okay. Dodgers, Orioles, Mariners, Rays, 1 through 5. We've got 6, 7, 8 here, and then we're going to get to the 9th team. Let's get some. Let's get some fluidity here. I feel very comfortable Hubs is about to fire a great take.
I got the Brewers at 6.
Yes.
I love what they've done. They kept momentum going. I watched their win today. They exploded against San Diego in one inning. They did end San Diego's season once and for all. Like that's it. You had the image of Manny Machado going ballistic in the dugout. They're cooked. Man, I don't really know how much I really like them because I feel like I've shit on them a good amount on the show, and I'm not in love with their offense, but they have some solid pitching, man, and a good pen, and I don't know, man. They're 73 and 57. They're comfortably in first place now in the Central. They put some space between them and the Cubs and the Reds. I got the Brewers here at 6. You could make a case for Texas, but man, I'm watching them right now, and they're on the verge of losing 9 of 10 and losing to the Twins here, and I don't love what I'm seeing out of the Texas Rangers, and it's the 13th fucking inning, and they can't beat the Twins. They're not playing good baseball right now, and I have the Brewers there.
You know what? I had them lower, but I'm gonna ride with you with that pick. I think that there's a lot of logic behind that pick, and also I think that when you look at this, kind of go on a week by week basis, we look at who's playing the best, and ultimately the Rangers, as good as they've been this year, could lose 8 or 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, what have you. The Astros are still very good, but a little bit stagnant. I think it's fair that we throw a bone to a team that has been pretty darn consistent all year and is playing really good baseball going into September. I mean, we've talked about the NL Central a lot on this podcast. There was a time where we were certain it was going to be the Cubs. There was a time where at least a few of us, not clever, thought it was going to be the Reds. And yet it's been this Brewers team that has been in first place or close to first place all year. They do it quietly. I can't act like I'm in love with their roster, but the one advantage they will have the deeper this thing goes when we get to big games, potentially into October, is they have a manager that I really trust to manage the bullpen late in games. And Devin Williams is maybe the best closer in the entire sport. They can shorten ball games like they did in 2018 when they made it to the NLCS. They become more dangerous every day. Yeah, do I find them a little bit boring at points? Who gives a shit? What matters is W's and not L's. They've won a lot of games. They've done it quietly. They're having a phenomenal season. So yeah, I can ride with them at 6.
Yeah. So the Brewers have the worst slugging percentage in the National League. Here's what these guys have in common: Rowdy Tellez, Bryce Terang, Willie Adames, Joey Weimer, and Tyrone Taylor all have on-base percentages under 300. That's their starting lineup, a good chunk of it. They can't hit. They're on pace for 90 wins, and I think they will in the division. I have them at 9. The idea that they're better than the Orioles, Rangers, Phillies is just insanity. That is just – I think we're watching a different sport.
Who said they're better than the Orioles?
Yeah, we didn't have them ahead of the Orioles.
I'm sorry, the Astros, Rangers, Phillies.
The Rangers have dropped too many for me to listen to.
The Rangers are a mess right now.
They had a bad week. I don't know.
Dude, it's 2 weeks.
They've lost 9 out of 10.
The Brewers have had a bad year offensively. They can't hit.
In October, games are 3-2. Games are 2-0, 2-1. They're built for that. Okay. What's their record since Sal Frelick came up? How's he playing?
I'm worried about Texas.
Sal Frelick has he's good. 238, 373, 400. He's nice.
It's a fine young good.
Yeah, I like him. He's good. The Brewers are red hot right now for sure. They've had a hell of a week. But I'm not scared of them like I'm scared of the Astros coming to town, or I just think the Brewers just.
But that's why they get you, dude. They're a different team than what you're thinking of. They do everything well except hit for power. They don't hit. They
don't hit, Carl. That's a flat out. That's a fact. They are. They are 12th in runs in the National League.
Has Clemmer looked at any of our picks? Has Clemmer agreed with any pick?
They're last in hits because they can't hit.
Who's up? I'm up 7.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send out a public apology for these rankings before we send it
They've
out.
scored 30. They've scored 30 runs in the last 4 games. Does that mean anything to you?
Clemmer doesn't give a fuck.
It's 4 games. What are we doing?
Dude, during this winning streak, during this winning streak they're on, they haven't scored less than 5 runs, and that's only been 1 game. The rest has been over that.
They've been amazing this past week. Who have those wins been against?
Texas,
Right.
the team I'm literally arguing them against is Texas,
Yep.
Minnesota, and the Padres.
Okay.
All right, I'm up. I like what Clemmer said. They had a bad week, so I'm going to put the Rangers here. I'm not going to be a bitch and knock the Rangers down too far. But they've been bad enough we got to send a message, so they're going 7th. That's my take on the Rangers.
I would have flipped, and the Rangers just lost. I probably would have flipped Astros, Rangers, but I can't argue with you. They're tied. They're tied for first place. I mean, they've been, until this most recent 10-game stretch, they've been one of the most consistent teams in the entire sport. The reason why I do, for now, we'll see what happens, kind of agree with Hubbs' take about putting the Brewers ahead of them is, the Rangers bullpen sucks. It's really bad. And even if Eovaldi comes back healthy, guys, I've seen it a million times in October. You can have these great lineups and you can have this great starting pitching. Bad bullpens get exposed against good lineups in the postseason. And, they made their move to go get Chapman. And that's sometimes what happens where you get a reliever who's struggled for a few years. They have a great first half. You put him in high leverage. He's blown multiple saves, given up some big home runs in big moments. 7 it makes sense. Can't argue it. But obviously, of all the teams on this list, they're the one that's trending downward the most.
The bullpen is bad. I'm concerned about it too. That's a real and honest and good fear. Eovaldi, I think, is coming back next week. I think he might even make a rehab assignment. So now, which Eovaldi do we get back? I don't know exactly. I think I've been saying all year how talented this Rangers team is, but you're right, Chris. That bullpen is. Even today, Chris Stratton gave a grand slam. That bullpen is a train wreck. And with Bruce Bochy, I thought they would have figured it out. He's famously known for being maybe the best bullpen manager of the last 20 years, and they haven't. I have them at, I said 6, but 7, I have them here. That's fine. We still have not said the Astros, right? Am I wrong about that?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Really, the question is basically between 7, 8, 9. We have Rangers, Astros. I would guess Phillies would be that 3rd team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how I would have it.
Yep.
What's left?
Unless I'm okay. So we're basically figuring out where the 7, 8, 9, this 3rd tier. So I'm saying Rangers because I really like Clemmer's point of you have a bad week. I'm not going to completely bury. There's times we've come in here, Rangers 2, Rangers 3. So now, am I ready to completely abandon them when they've outplayed the Astros? And I do like their lineup significantly more than I like the Astros lineup. Significantly more.
Yeah.
So that's where my attitude is with the Rangers here.
I'll say this with the Rangers. A good sign. Bullpen's a big problem. Chapman, not good again today. Jordan Montgomery and Max Scherzer have been really good for them.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Montgomery especially. Today I think he had 3 and a little over 5. But before that, every start was 2 runs or less. He's been excellent for them. I think his ERA is slightly above 3 on the year. So that was a really good trade Brian Cashman made. And Max Scherzer's been plenty fine as well. I think one okay start or whatever, and everything else has been really good. So yeah, you add Eovaldi back into that equation, you have a really good 1, 2, 3. I feel like so. I still have them. I agree where we have them. I think it's in the right spot.
Yeah. No, I like that rotation a lot too. I better hope they go 8 innings each, right, with the way things are going right now. Because even, Clemmer brought up the bullpen management. It's not the management of the bullpen. You guys got to execute. Chapman came out of the pen today, could not throw strikes. You're going to make that move 10 times out of 10. So yeah, 8th is my spot. I basically have these teams tied. I'm going Houston here in 8. They're tied for first. The reason I'm not I'm keeping an arm's length with them is that there's been a level of inconsistency with them that we already talked about a little bit earlier. I don't want to beat a dead horse, but also I said months ago that their big trade deadline acquisition wouldn't be a trade, that they were going to get Yordan Alvarez back, and that would allow the offense to take off. And he had that double there in the ninth inning against in the ninth inning against a position player today. But he doesn't quite look like the most feared hitter in baseball, which is a guy which he can be when he's at 100%. Altuve's done his thing. Kyle Tucker's just had a phenomenal year. They are the team near the bottom of this list that I could see ascending the quickest. Talk about the pedigree, that pitching staff being what it's been. Frommer's 7 hitless the other night, though he did walk 5. They are still a remarkably dangerous ball club. I think 8 is a fitting spot for them. But by the end of next week, depending on where the standings are, I could see them being as high as 4. I mean, the difference between the 4 through 8 teams here is so minuscule. So it's an excellent team. I got them at 8.
Jordan, by the way, slugging percentage since coming off the IL is a 380.
Yeah. He's not healthy.
That's concerning for sure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of weird shit going on with this team. I don't get it.
Well, they weren't good at the start of the season. I don't get it. They've been in stall or neutral or.
Yeah, the Astros and Blue Jays to me are the two most confusing. I guess the Padres to some extent too are the most confusing teams this year for me in baseball.
You know who they remind? You know who this Astros teams remind me of, or this team reminds me of, is the
Tigers
Cubs
team. Ooh.
No,
not 17.
Yep, where it's you win the World Series and you come back the next year, you're not bad. I mean, the Cubs made it to the NLCS, but there was just you could just tell for that in a whole season that magic championship pixie dust that lasted through 16 wasn't there. Now, the Astros, I still think, can win the World Series. It's not to say that they have no shot, but there's been a bit more, mud on the tires, so to speak, I feel like, throughout this season for them.
The 2017 Cubs were 2 games under 500 at the All-Star break, 43 and 45.
No.
Went to the NLCS. World Series hangovers are real.
Mm-hmm.
The Phillies were slow.
Yeah, again. And I think that's probably where we're going to have them next. Clemmer, it's you at 9, right?
No, there's no one at 9.
No one hits 9.
Together.
Well,
we
all agree the Phillies make the most sense?
Easily.
Now, the only other thing I would say is I agree the Phillies at 9s, but the way I would like to talk about the Phillies and like what other teams would you even be considering in the spot here?
I mean, I don't consider like the next tier for me is like Blue Jays, Cubs.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I don't even know. I don't know if the Phillies are close to where the Astros have been throughout this season.
Red Sox.
They're closer.
No. I'm saying no. The Phillies are 9. And I'm saying the next tier for me includes Blue Jays, Red Sox, Cubs, like in that world. Like
Can I throw out another team that started to? Now they're not there. That started to maybe play their way back a little bit into just that honorable mention tier. The Arizona Diamondbacks. They went through a stretch where they were the worst team in baseball for a month. And now they're back in position to I think they're, I believe, tied for that last wild card spot. If not, they're maybe half game back, full game back, what have you. It seems like they're maybe turning corner a little bit again. They have a great top of that rotation. Definitely not deserving of a spot in these top 9. But for a minute there, it seemed like they were cratering to a point where I wasn't sure if they were going to finish above 500. They're starting to play their way back into playoff contention. So credit to Torey Lovullo for kind of keeping that that train on the track.
Yeah, I'd have them above Boston for sure. I think there's probably Blue Jays, Diamondbacks, and there's a gap, and then Boston, and then like maybe the Cubs.
How about the Cubs?
Yeah, Cubs probably more in that Blue Jays area, and then I think the Reds. They just can't string together good 10-game stretches. I feel like they just take a step back. I mean, they're not the Dodgers did what the Dodgers do to them, and they did pull off, I guess, a split against Houston. So that is a little admirable. But Yoshida's, I mean, Red Sox fans hate when I talk about him, but he's taken a nosedive for Boston in the last 30 games. Has a 500 OPS. It's weird. I don't know.
Too. He had his first home run of the year. So like that it just shows you how he's been, I know he's been back for 15 games, but he's just not hitting to where he should be. I know he's coming off the IL. I don't think they're a great team. I just think they need to be in the conversation.
They had a chance to get more into the conversation this week, and they kind of stayed at just where they were. I feel like they didn't do enough to get into the conversation.
What happened to the Giants? They've fallen off, and I don't really understand it.
I think
they'd be better, and
their schedule got really tough. They played opponents that were better than them. And ultimately, while they do a really good job of platooning guys and everything, they have zero star power is their big issue. I feel like, they have a good organizational system. They have that pitching lab there that works, but they have no stars and really zero bats. I know they've had guys who've had good years, but zero bats in that lineup that really, really scare you. I know like Flores has had a good year, and I've always liked guys like Jock, but for the most part, I don't think that there's anyone in that lineup that is overly terrifying.
Their last 12, 13 games are against the Braves, Phillies, Rangers, Braves. Like that's
yeah,
that'll do it.
So that's what happened. They just ran into a sawmill.
Right.
So does that mean they can bounce back then?
Yes, they're good. They're solid. This is
we keep our eye on them.
I have an eye on them.
Okay.
I haven't taken one off.
They're a game and a half out of the wild card right now, and if that schedule eases up, honestly, that's the best reason, right? Like if I hear why is the team in bad for 2 weeks? Oh, they went into just a buzzmill of just insanely great teams. All right, great. That's the best news you could probably get.
No, it's been even worse actually. It was Rangers, Rays, Braves, Phillies, Braves. Every single team they've played is on this fucking list.
Yeah, and it gets easy. I mean, it can't get harder than that.
Right.
So, home to the Reds, at the Padres, at the Cubs, then Rockies, Guardians, Rockies. So,
all right, that's
like some of those teams aren't slouches, but they're not what we just said they just played. They do end the year. 2 of the last 3 series are against the Dodgers. How attentive the Dodgers are in those games remains to be seen. They're going to have a 15-game lead in the division and, kind of just like coasting at that point. So you're not really playing the full Dodgers, but that's a gauntlet, and it's understandable that they slipped up.
Interesting here. Giants to make the playoffs. Plus 165, yes.
I like that.
It's not a bad stab.
I think it's probably closer to a pick 'em plus one, maybe plus 105. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of value. I like that a lot. It's a good Giants team. This exercise and repeatedly going through this reinforces a couple things. The Braves and the Dodgers being the class, that's one of those big reinforcements. As we go through this, we're sitting here talking about, we're talking about who could be like the fucking 13th best team in Major League Baseball at the bottom of this list. Where do the Cubs and the Blue Jays and the Giants and stuff filter in? So the 2 teams at the top between the Braves and the Dodgers, this exercise really just reinforces how much better they are. And then the other thing is the tiering of teams. They're clearly at the top. There's another group in the middle. I like it's a good exercise for me to think about how far away my own team is. Like, where are the Cubs as they line up to this? Because as a baseball fan, yeah, we should win today. We want to win every day. I want to win. I want to win. I want to win. It's so fucking hard. And this is, it just gives good perspective. It's giving me good perspective about how fucking far away the Cubs are and how good the top of the league is. And these teams are, the Phillies went to the fucking World Series last year with all this talent. Trey Turner, they add Trey Turner. It's been a disaster for most of the season. And it's like, dude, you're marginally a top 10 team in the league.
Yeah. And they're better than they were last year. Like, I think and also we got to mention Bryce Harper is insanely hot right now. And that could, we saw what happened in October. If he, returns to full health, which he hasn't been, he came back from Tommy John in record time, they will ascend up this list. They're a dangerous
group. The reason
group.
I have them ahead of the race.
Yeah, that's fair. No, I get it.
Brewers fans, welcome to the list.
Ahead of the Brewers too.
But the Brewers.
Sorry.
No, go ahead, brother.
Unrelated, but we as baseball fans talk about Ellie De La Cruz so much, and he's electrifying. He has the same weighted runs created plus as Anthony Volpe. So, he's taking a little bit of it's a little bit of Volpe's figuring it out more as Ellie's taking a nosedive, but it is interesting the narratives behind those two players. People have gotten on Volpe, although I think he's actually putting together a fine rookie season. Mm-hmm. And Ellie is just viewed as this guy because he's fucking electrifying. He is. But looking at the same kind of stats right now, which is kind of crazy.
We talked positively about Volpe on Wednesday. Clemmer likes him. He's got pop. He's got a lot of pop for a young high school draftee.
He's going to be a 2020 guy in his rookie year. Pretty good.
It's the advantage that comes with hitting right away. When you're that young prospect that gets called up and starts seeing the ball well those first 2 weeks, There are still Detroit Tiger fans who think that Akil Baddoo is going to be an all-star because he had a great first week 2 years ago. And now Ellie De La Cruz is going to turn into a wonderful player, but I think when you have those moments like he had, just reinvigorating a franchise the first month of his career, people start to, eventually people are going to start to look at the numbers and be like, maybe ease up a little bit here, but he's still going to be excellent.
Oh, by the way, since the All-Star break, De La Cruz, 186 batting average, 257 on base, 385 slugging.
So it wasn't the pitching summer.
He's got a huge hole in his swing.
You did say that.
No.
Huge.
Carl said that. Yep.
Gaping hole.
Ginormous.
You want me to read off the 1 through 9? The Mariners discussion at Ford belongs in Cooperstown. Someone sent the tape recording.
Someone drove off the road listening to that into like a river.
I disavow this ranking, by the way. Disavow.
No!
Yes.
You can't disavow. This is our first disavowment. You piece of shit. Braves 1, Dodgers 2, Orioles 3, Mariners 4, Rays 5, Brewers 6, Rangers 7, Astros 8, Phillies 9. A disavowed power ranking. The first in our show's history.
This is a setback.
Hopefully you guys can get your minds right. Get your mind right. Hopefully by next week you can get your minds right. Because right now you guys are in the sauce right now. Yeah.
I don't want to be right because I hate the Rays. They cleared the benches twice today and didn't throw a punch. Fucking losers.
By the way, I went to a Mets game today and it was actually fun. It was like the Mets. Like I felt like I was in a time machine from last year. It was like they had clutch hits, great starting pitching. It was like I forgot it was fun to go to baseball games. It was actually I went yesterday. It was a disaster. But
I will say your tweet about you were keeping score for the Angels game and Shohei had a double and triple in the first 2 innings, and you were like, "I'm freaking out." I was just trying to picture you in your seat, like squirming around.
What if he hits the cycle? Oh my god! I was doing that. I've never seen the cycle. I was freaking out. I was with my buddy. I'm like, oh my god, and he's like, all right. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I've been to 800 baseball games. I've never seen a cycle. Yeah.
Oh my god. That's Selena Gomez song though, huh, Clemmer? Yeah.
Good stuff,
dude, I just get a text from Clemmer on Friday, and he goes, "You weren't wrong about that Selena Gomez song." Wow. Dude, getting that text as I'm just like going for a walk was one of the funnier things ever. I like sent it to myself, I feel like, in the office, and he just goes, "You weren't kidding. New Selena Gomez song is great." 43-year-old man just hyped up about Selena Gomez and Shohei halfway to the triple.
I put it on my playoff. I put it on my little playlist. I have.
So funny.
How many songs are on that playlist, Clemmer? How many songs?
I got about 25 songs, all mix and match. But
you'll take songs off that, right? Like you're not. It's relevant, right? You just keep what's hot right now.
Yeah, I have like about 30 songs I listen to. Yeah, and that made the cut. The new Miley Cyrus song did not. Just saying.
This is the Barstool baseball show. Clemmer, you're a little bit of a bitch at the end of disavow, but I understand where you're coming from.
No, little bit. It's fine, and I will publicly disavow it as well. This is an embarrassment. This is our worst list we've come up with as a group. Hopefully, we can do better next week.
Oh, that's what you say after you lose a bet. I don't
want to talk about my bets right now.
Yeah, no, you're fucking ice cold, pal. You are ice cold.
Dude, it's bad. It's bad. I am.
The show is over.
Couldn't happen to a worse person.
This is Barstool Baseball, guys. Please subscribe on YouTube. Comment on Instagram. Talk shit to Clemmer.
No.
Most importantly, subscribe, though. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back on Wednesday. Until then.